welcome to all. This is Tanu Gupta from Akgec Engineering College, Ghaziabad, from the Department of IT. Today I am going to discuss a very important topic in the data analytics, that is visualization tools and technique. So first we understand what is data visualization and how the visualization technique can be used to represent our reports or something else. Yes, first we understand what is data visualization. Data visualization is a graphical representation of quantitative information and data by using visual element like graph, charts and map. When we represent our projects or report in a summary form via using a tools like graphs and charts and maps, so that it can summarize in a graphical way. So data visualization is a graphical representation of a data by which we represent by using elements like graph, charts and maps and so on. Yes, data visualization converts large and small data set into a visual. Visual means it's a effect that our overall project report are going to summarize on our visual effects. Okay, data visualization convert the large and small data set into visual, which is easy to understand and process for the human. For example, if we represent a whole a theory based question into a systematic diagram, or we can say in a flow chart, so it is easy to understand by us or by other people. So data visualization technique is also very effective to represent a large data set as well as a small data set. Data visualization tools provide accessible ways to understand the outliers, patterns and trend in the data. So yes, data visualization tools, it is easy to understand what are the trends in the data, what are the outliers, what the values of are lying on the outliers of the pattern, and what are the trends or we can say upcoming trends in the data. So yes, we can see visualization in a form of line chart to display change over a time. We can use, we have a various visual data techniques that we can discuss in the next slide, like bar charts and column chart are useful for observing relationship and making comparison. If we are going to compare two categories or observing the relationship between the two categories, so it's a bar and a column charts are an effective way to summarize our way in a visual form. And another one is a pie chart, which is a great way to show a part of a whole, and our maps are the best way to sharing a geographical data visually. Map is also a data visualization technique. Through a map, you can understand where the city belongs to, which city belongs to, like which state, and what are the various states in our country. A pie chart is a great way to show a part of whole. For example, if we are going to organize a data, student data, like a student name, roll number, their branches, IT1, IT2, IT3, IT4 and so on, and we checks our data and we have to show all the branches data in a form of pie chart, so other one can understand the data technically, as well as it will understand the data in a form of. Yes, today data visualization tool go beyond the charts and graph to use in Microsoft Excel. Nowadays we have mini data visualization techniques, which is yes as better than the previous charts and graphs which are used in common in a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, which display the data in more sophisticated way, such as dials and gauges, geographical maps, heat maps, pie charts and so on. Using a graphs and chart to visualize a large amount of complex data is more comfortable in comparison to studying the spreadsheet and report. Yes, this is the importance of data visualization through our graphs or chart. It is easy to understand the spreadsheets and notes, a large amount of spreadsheet and notes, or we can say a report into a more comfortable format. And if we want to compare the two categories, it is easy to understand the way the visualizations tools or techniques are used to represent. It is easy to understand all the way. Yes, data visualization is easy and a quick way to convey concept universally. You can experiment with a different outlines by making a slight adjustment. Yes, data visualization can clarify which factor influence the customer behavior. By using our visualization techniques like bar chart, bar graph, and histograms, and other so many, we can just see that the visualization effect, or we can just see the graphs and chart. We can easily clarify or which factor influencing which product, and so on. Data visualization help, yes, to understand which product to place where, and yes, data visualization can also predict the sales volume, which can be increased or decreased by connecting to our various factors. Now come toward the data visualization technique. We have many data visualization techniques, 10 to 20 visualization technique. We are just discussing some of them to cover this topic. So first one is a pie chart. Another one is bar chart, histogram, Gantt chart, heat map chart, box and vector plot, waterfall chart, area chart, scatter plot, pictogram chart, and many more. These are the some data visualization technique which we are which I'm going to write here, but there are many more visualization techniques. Any one of them have a different, or we can say other uses to where we use for a pie chart. We understand what we do the part of a whole, and for using a bar chart, we categorize our product very easily. Using the histogram, we easily categorize our product into various intervals of time. So like one by one, we discuss all the visualization technique by using our diagram, so that you can all understand the visualization technique very briefly. So first one is a pie chart. Yes, the representation of pie chart is like a circle in which there are 4 categories. 4, 5, 1 or 2 categories. Data is divided into which you describes in the following categories. Like we have described this chart into item 1, item 4, item 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4 item, and it will represent a percentage of containing these items. For example, it is a representing a pie chart as a whole, and item 1 represent a 20% of the whole, item 2 represent a 40% of the whole, item 3 represent a 15% of a whole, and item 4 belong to a 25% of the whole. So pie chart, yes, most common and basic data visualization technique, ideal for illustrating proportion or a part of whole comparison, where we have to compare our two product or two categories on a part of whole basis or illustrating proportion. Pie charts are used. Simple, easy to read, and best suited for the audience unfamiliar with the information. If the customer or audience is unfamiliar with the information, they are only want to know the key takeaways. So pie chart is a simple and easy way to understand the whole information in a precise way. For the viewers who require a more thorough explanation of the data, pie chart falls short. But when the customer or audience want to a detailed explanation of that product or some, so pie chart fall short. We can say this is a disadvantage of pie chart. This cannot be elaborate information in a illustrative way. It can just precise the information. Okay, so yes, this is a disadvantage of pie chart, which we can recover in the another. Now here comes to the bar graph. The representation of bar graph is something like this diagram. On the horizontal axis, we represent our categories, category 1, category 2, and on the vertical axis we represent a measure value. For example, for category 1, the value would be around 54 to 55 for the category 2. The value, measured value would be the 75. So according these bar graph of a particular project, bar graph is a visualization technique to represent the whole information in a precise way. Like so, for understanding these diagram, we can easily understand which category belongs to which value. So by considering this graph, we easily understand the category 2, that is for red one, FY19 is gaining a more advantage as comparison to the category 1. Category 2 has a more measured value over the period of interval of time, like Q1, Q2, Q3, 4 we mentioned, and we can easily understand the category 2 is measured the higher value as comparison to the blue one, that is on FY18. Yes, most common and easy to use method of visualization. One axis of the chart show the categories being compared. The horizontal axis we use for the categories that is being compared, and the other one is to measure the value. The length of the bar indicate how each group measure according to the value. One drawback is that the labeling and clarity can become problematic when there are too many categories included. If we have the number of categories like 4 and 5 categories or many more, then this bar graph may be a complicated one. So when we have small category, small number of attribute in which we want to compare, so bar graph is best suited for that. But if we have a larger categories, then bar chart is not suitable to visualize our reports in a very good way. Like pie chart, they can also be too simple for more complex data set. Now another one technique is histogram. So the representation of histograms is like this. So in the horizontal axis, yes, we compare. In the horizontal axis, we show the one category, and on the vertical axis, we are taking the another attribute. Yes, histogram illustrate the distribution of data over a continuous interval or a defined period. Histogram is used when we are going to use a period number of interval, continuous interval, or for a defined period. These visualizations are helpful in identifying where values are concentrated, as well as where there are gaps on unusual value. On this diagram, we easily understand where there are gaps. Using the histogram, we easily understand this 90 to 100, then 100 to, then there is a blank. Means for this period of time, the product did not work well or a project does not work well. So via using a histogram, we identified in which period of interval our project or a product does not work well on that way. Histogram are specifically useful for showing the frequency of a particular occurrence. For instance, if you would like to show how many clicks your website received, for example, wherever the histogram used, visualization technique like histogram we use, if you would like to show how many clicks your website received each day over the last week, you can use histogram. From this visualization, you can quickly determine which day your website saw the greatest and fewest number of clicks. By using the histogram representation, you are easily understand which day or which particular day you get the fewest or a maximum click for your particular pick and so on. Now the next one is a Gantt chart. This is important, very, very important Gantt chart, which we are going to use in future project work. Launch timeline. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. For example, where we Gantt chart use in our project work or defined a where when we complete our projects, it is used to launch a timeline. Gantt chart is used to launch a timeline. For example, in week 1, we define page goals. If our sponsor want to understand when our project going to be complete, so we through our Gantt chart try to explain them. In the week 1, we are just defining the page goal. In week 2, draft rough copy. Like in the week 1, we are going to specify a requirement about a project. Then in second phase, we are going to collect where the information we get about that product. Then we finalize the copy, then build page, or we can say build a model, and then last one, push page live. Then we going to operationalize our project. So in week 1, page, define page goal, draft copy, finalize copy, build new page, and push page live. So these are the timelines. It can be a week, it can be a day, it can be a month, it can be a year, according to your project. So we defined our goals, or we defined our work to show our work in through the Gantt chart over a period of time. So yes, Gantt chart are particularly common in project management, as they are useful in illustrating a project timeline. When we have to illustrate a project timeline or a progression of tasks, the Gantt chart is very important, or we can say we are going to use a Gantt chart to show the project timeline or progression of task. In this type of chart, tasks to be performed are listed on the vertical axis and the time interval on the horizontal axis. As in the horizontal axis, there would be a time interval. On the vertical axis, the tasks which are going to perform on that time interval. Horizontal bars in the body of the chart represent the duration of each activity. So this horizontal bar indicate the duration of that activity, means define page goal are going to be complete in this duration. As we defined here, week 1. Week 1 is defined for page goal. Week 2 is defined for drafting a rough copy. Week 3 defined for a finalizer copy, and then we build a page and then push the page to the live audience. Okay. So yes, utilizing Gantt chart to display timelines can be inherently helpful and enable team member to keep track of every aspect of project. Even if you are not a project management professional, familiarizing yourself with Gantt chart can help you to stay organized. Now comes to the heat map. Like you all see, the heat map is full of color. Yes, it's a colorful chart. What that color means, yes, first we are going to understand the representation of heat map is like this, and where we use to discuss. Yes, a heat map is a type of visualization which is used to show differences in data through variation in color. Yes, point to be noted. Yes, to show the differences in data through the variation in color. In the heat map, we show the differences in data through the variations in color. There are so many colors in this heat map. There are variations in color. This one dark and pink and blue and so on. So these charts are use color to communicate value in a way that make it easy for the viewer to quickly identify trends. To understand the patterns, trends, the heat map are, yes, it's make it easy to understand. Having clear legend is necessary in order for us successfully read and interpret a heat map. There are many possible applications of heat map. For example, if you want to analyze which time of a day retail store make the most sale, you can use a heat map. If you want to analyze in a day which time like afternoon time, evening time, which period of time our sales is high. So you can use a heat map that show our days of a week on a vertical axis and a time of day on a horizontal axis, and you are going to analyze and you are going to feed all the transactions and all, and a heat map is going to show you at which particular period of time your retail shop getting a high or a most sale. Then by standing in the matrix with colors and corresponding to a number of sale at each time of the day, you can easily identify the trends in the data, allowing you to determine what exact time your store experience the most of the sales. So heat map is used particularly and like that. Now next one is a box and whisker plot. The representation of block and whisker plot is like this. These are the measured value. This is a whisker plot. First, we understand the box and whisker plot, or we can say a box plot provide a visual summary of data through its quartiles. First, a box is drawn from the first quartile to the third of the data set. A line within the box represented a median. A line within the box is represent the median. Whiskers or line are then drawn extending to the box to the minimum, or we can say a lower extreme to the higher extremes. Yes, outlier represented by individual point that are in line with these are the outliers. Now another one is a waterfall chart. The representation of waterfall chart is like this, as a waterfall from the mountain. So waterfall chart representation is also like that scenario. A waterfall chart is a visual representation that illustrates how value changes and it is influenced by different factors such as time. The main goal of this chart is to show the viewer how a value has grown or declined over a defined period. For example, waterfall chart are most popular for showing spending on earning over a time. So waterfall chart, yes, you can use a waterfall chart to analyze in a month what you are spending, what you are earning over a defined period. So you can try the waterfall chart to expanding your expenditure or your earning over a period of time. Now the next one is area chart. Yes, on the horizontal axis we are showing a time periods, or we can say a month, January, February, March and other. And on the vertical axis we are going to represent a value. An area chart, or we can say a area graph, is a variation on the basic line graph in which the area underneath the line is shaded to represent the total value of the each point. Okay. When several data series must be compared on the same graph, stacked area charts are used. Yes, it is also useful for showing changes in one or more quantities over a time, as well as showing how its quantity combines to make up the whole. Yes, these charts and showing a part of are very factored in showing the part of whole comparison. So thank you so much for now. I hope you understand the data visualization tools and techniques. Thank you so much.